Well, hey there guys, thanks for tuning in. In this video, I'm going to give you a comprehensive guide on how to get rid of your seasonal depression and how to get rid of it for all the years going forward. Now, this may be a bit of a long video, but please watch it till the end because I promise you there's some things in here that you haven't heard of, and they're really going to be game changers for you. So there's really only two reasons why someone will experience winter blues or seasonal depression, and that is serum vitamin D deficiency and spending less time outside. But vitamin D deficiency is a lot more complicated than you think because it's not just about taking more vitamin D. So I'm going to tell you exactly what you need to do to raise your vitamin D as quickly as possible and keep it at the level that you want. So if you live in North America, for example, or Canada, or anywhere above the northern hemisphere, your body actually doesn't process vitamin D. It doesn't synthesize vitamin D from the sun half of the year. So that's why people experience this seasonal depression thing and why everybody gets so sad once winter comes around every year. So you're not getting vitamin D from the sun, so you have to be getting it from somewhere. And a lot of people are probably getting very small trace amounts from the foods that they're eating, but they're not getting nearly enough. You can look this up, but like 99.9% of the entire human population is deficient in vitamin D. So what you want to do, number one, if you are deficient in vitamin D, which like I said, there's pretty much a 99% chance, you want to take a vitamin D supplement, and if you're deficient, you want to be taking at least 10,000 IUs every day. Now, the best form of vitamin D to take is going to be vitamin D3, and you want to take it in oil capsule. That seems to be the best route of administration to get the vitamin D in your system. And you don't just want to take the vitamin D because if you want vitamin D to absorb much more quickly, you also want to be taking it with vitamin K2 and a meal that's high in LDL cholesterol. LDL cholesterol is the healthy cholesterol. So what I recommend doing and what I personally did to get my vitamin D levels back up to where they should be is on an empty stomach, first thing in the morning, I will take 10,000 IUs of vitamin D, and I'll take it with Kerrygold butter. Kerrygold butter is grass-fed butter that's imported from Ireland, and it's really good. It's full of vitamin K2, it's full of LDL cholesterol, and it's going to help you get those levels back up a lot sooner. Because the problem with vitamin D deficiency is that if you are deficient, right, it will actually take you months to get it back up, okay, for most people. But if you want to shorten that time frame and you want it to happen in a few weeks to a month, take that vitamin K2, take it with LDL cholesterol, and also take a good amount of high quality magnesium. Magnesium is really going to help you absorb that vitamin D quicker and get your levels back up to what they should be. Now, what exactly is the healthy level of vitamin D, and how do you know if you're at the healthy level and when to stop taking so much vitamin D? What I personally recommend doing is going on Amazon, and you can purchase a vitamin D testing kit for about $40, which will probably be cheaper than going to your doctor and getting a blood test for vitamin D. And believe it or not, most GPs, most doctors, and probably your doctor doesn't even know how to do a blood test for vitamin D. So the best thing to do is just do it yourself. Like I said, you can get the test kit from Amazon, see what your levels are. The levels that are too low is going to be anything under 50 nanograms per deciliter. Okay, that's 50. Anything over 75 or 80 nanograms per deciliter is going to be too much vitamin D in your blood, okay? So the serum vitamin D level that we're shooting for is anywhere from 50 to 70 nanograms per deciliter. So yeah, don't lose hope. Don't think that, if you're experiencing seasonal depression and you want to get your vitamin D levels back up because they're, say, 10 to 20 nanograms per deciliter, it's not going to necessarily take months, okay? Like I said, take that vitamin K2, the butter, the magnesium, or some good form of LDL cholesterol on an empty stomach first thing in the morning, and you're going to be where you want to be in like 3 weeks, maybe a month tops, okay? But you have to do these things. Okay, so the next thing that I want to talk about when it comes to seasonal depression or any kind of depression in general, especially if you're somebody my age, if you're a millennial or you're in your teens and 20s, is to take a digital deload or to stop looking at digital dopamines. That would be smartphones, tablets, computers, video games are all interchangeable, and they all work the same reward system in our brains. See, for the entirety of human history, up until very recently, human beings have not been exposed to these levels of dopamine through technology and through smartphones, social media, binge watching YouTube, idle net browsing, video games, pornography, all of it. See, we have the reward system in our brain that uses dopamine to make us remember something that's going to help our survival, okay? So when it comes to drugs and when it comes to digital dopamines, which are also a drug, it all uses the reward system, especially something like pornography. So you definitely want to take that out of your life if that's in your life. See, it is abnormal stimulus to have so much dopamine all at once. And there's no satiation mechanism like there is if you eat too much or if you drink too much, right? You're going to throw up, you're going to feel sick. If you exercise too much, you're going to pass out, you're going to get really tired. There's no safety mechanism for digital dopamines, okay? Or for pornography, right? So what you end up doing is absolutely cooking your brain. You absolutely cook your reward system. And ask yourself, after you've played video games for hours, or you've been on Facebook for hours, or you've been doing whatever it is, whatever your digital poison is of choice, afterwards you always feel so drained and so depressed, don't you? Because after you've done that, then what do? What can compare with the level of dopamine that digital dopamines provide you, So it is really, really hard. I'm not going to claim to be free of any of those things, but I can tell you that when I took digital dopamines out of my life for a week, I did it for 7 days, right? That's what I started with. Noticed a huge difference. I was happier to be alive. I was fine with just sitting in a room doing nothing, just thinking. I was happy to just go for a walk in the park, do simpler, more wholesome activities, okay? And like I said, it's very difficult because the reward system in our brain, okay, is designed for our survival. So when we look at digital dopamines or pornography or whatever it is, right? When we don't look at those things for a while, our brain is telling us that if we don't look at those things again, we won't survive, right? So our animal brains are still very much there from millions of years ago, and they still will be. And the mechanisms and behaviors are going to apply to things in our modern day world, which are screens and technology. So please, if you're suffering from seasonal depression or you're depressed any time of the year, give this a try. Take the smartphone out of your life. Take the video games out of your life. If you're someone who looks at pornography, take that out of your life. Especially want to take that out of your life. And your dopamine receptors and your reward system in your brain will start to rehab itself and return to a more normal level, okay? And you won't even need your therapist anymore, or those pharmaceuticals that your doctor could be prescribing you. You won't even need that anymore, okay? This is a modern problem, you know. Depression has skyrocketed in recent decades, and it's got everything to do with technology and the steady dopamine drip feed that is smartphones, that is everybody's smartphone. You know, the when you take it out of your life, the peace and the simple, just innocent joy that you have, just living a normal life, you know, just going about your day, just looking at the trees, you know, outside, just going for a walk in the park. Those things would never make you happy before when you were a smartphone addict or a video game addict. But when you take those things out of your life, it resets everything. It reboots your consciousness to a much more natural, organic level or place. Okay, now the next thing that I did to seriously improve my seasonal depression, and I didn't really have it that bad, but it does come around every year. But the game changer, aside from the vitamin D, is I actually started taking Mucuna perunians, also known as Mucuna bean. Now, when you're rehabbing your dopamine receptors, right, a really good thing to do in conjunction, in tandem with that, is to take these Mucuna beans. Because Mucuna has L-dopa in it, also called levodopa, which is a precursor to dopamine. So basically your body converts that straight into dopamine, and dopamine, as you know, is very important for not feeling depressed, right? For feeling happy and joyful and, you know, all that good stuff, what everybody wants, you know, feeling motivated, excited to be alive, right? Now, the funny thing about Mucuna perunians is that most people have never even heard of them, and when you say that word to them, they just look confused because, you know, it sounds like some kind of other language or something. But that's weird because Mucuna perunians are actually the main ingredient in almost every single pharmaceutical antidepressant that your doctor prescribes to you, right? And a lot of people don't know that. Mucuna perunians have been used in Ayurvedic medicine for hundreds and hundreds of years. Okay, they're a very old thing, and they're very well known. They've been used for a long time. We understand very well how they work with the human body, and there's been a lot of human studies done on them, not just rat studies and animal studies, which is really important when you want to take any kind of herbal supplement, right? So get yourself a high quality Mucuna supplement, and what's really important is that you don't take too much of this stuff, and that you don't take it for too long. You have to cycle it correctly. So, like I said, you want to be taking this while you're already rehabbing your dopamine receptors. So, not looking at any digital dopamines, doing all the right things to give your brain a break and give your mind a break. And then you go in there with the cherry on top, and you introduce this Mucuna. So what you want to do is you want to take no more than 500 milligrams, and you want to take it 5 days on and then 5 days off. If you respond to it well and you don't have any of the common side effects like the mania and kind of rapid heartbeat sometimes and trouble sleeping, then you can do 5 days on and 3 days off. Like I just touched on, if you experience any of the common side effects, which would be feeling a little bit too happy, a little bit too manic, some heart palpitations, you can back off that 500 milligram dose to a 250 milligram dose, and that will still be effective. I'm a bigger guy. I'm about 225 pounds, so I take 500 milligrams. And as I said, you don't want to take this stuff for too long. This is just to rehab your dopamine receptors, reboot your reward system, and get your brain back on track, right? So I recommend taking this for about a month, and If you feel you need to do it longer than that, go ahead. But like I said, what's most important is that you take it for 5 days on and 3 to 5 days off. No more than 500 milligrams, you'd be good to go. As the disclaimer said in the beginning of this video, I'm not a doctor, but this is just my own anecdotal experience. I can tell you that it works very, very, very well. And you can read hundreds, if not thousands, of anecdotal reports and human studies online that all say the same thing. Now, the issue that you're going to have, okay, if you're a youngster, if you're in your teens and 20s, and you take this huge stimulus that was once in your life, which would be your smartphone, idle net browsing, YouTube, even pornography, all that kind of stuff, is you're going to have this void in your life, you're going to have this vacuum in your life, and you're going to feel extremely bored, you're not going to know what to do with yourself, and your natural talents and passions will slowly begin to fill that spare time that you have. So this is a very well-known term in psychology is sublimation, also known as transmutation. They're kind of interchangeable. They're kind of the same thing, but you turn your boredom or your libido or your urges to do something, and you turn it into something productive, right? So it's no secret that all the best artists and composers and engineers and you name it, they all use this sublimation or transmutation, if you want to call it. And it's definitely a big part of our society and a big part of how human beings succeed. Sigmund Freud called it an especially conspicuous part of society and culture, and I would agree. It's not so much talked about, and it's kind of kept almost secret. I mean, they don't teach you about it in school, but it's like a way to give yourself superpowers almost, but it certainly takes some dedication and self-discipline, willpower, all those kind of things that will take you time to acquire. But of course, what's important with this when you're trying to quit your smartphone addiction or your video game or internet addiction is that you don't beat yourself too up if you ever relapse, right? So if there is a time that you do start looking at your phone again, or you do start playing video games again, tell yourself 4 steps forward, 3 steps back, right? You're still forming new connections in your brain. You're still building your resistance every time you resist an urge. So even if you do relapse from time to time, that's okay. You're still making progress. So tell yourself that, and that's how you're going to succeed. The problem we have with social media and YouTube culture especially is you have a lot of people telling you they've done something incredible or they've quit some horrible addiction that they've had, and they kind of make it seem like they just decided they want to do it and they just did it, and that's not the case. You're going to fail many times, and you're going to relapse many times, but that's okay, because like I said, 4 steps forward, 3 steps back, you're always making progress. Make sure that you're exercising a lot. That is one of the best ways to use sublimation or transmutation. You're putting your boredom, you're putting your frustration, your urges into something very productive. You want to exercise every day if you can. You want to lift weights, you want to run. You want to do all that good stuff. Take cold showers every morning on the coldest setting. Especially now that it's wintertime, you're going to get the maximum benefits from that. What cold showers do, of course, is they raise up your noradrenaline levels in the blood, and they're going to upregulate your dopamine receptors in your brain. So that, along with the Mucuna and the vitamin D and everything else I talked about, you're going to start feeling like Superman. And I know I certainly do when I stick to these tips and adhere to them. And certainly any time that I've not adhered to them, or I don't do one of these things, or one of these things falls out of my life, I start to go back down into those into that depression. And I catch myself doing it, 4 steps forward, 3 steps back, and I get back on track. So that's basically everything that I have for you guys. I do have one final tip on how to lift yourself out of a negative mindset or depression, or even just a general boredom in life. I mean, who isn't bored in life right now with COVID and everything going on? So what I recommend you do is do some sort of risky activity or activities often. I recommend at least once a week. What I mean by risky activities are just things that pull you out of your comfort zone, things most people wouldn't consider doing, things that are going to improve your social skills or improve a skill. What I personally like to do is, I've always had a little bit of social anxiety, right? So I like to use rejection therapy. If you haven't heard of that, it's you just go into a Walmart or into a shopping mall or wherever, and you approach a whole bunch of people and you ask them for something that they're going to say no to. So like you walk up to someone and you ask them, can you buy me a lobster and can you cook it for me, right? Most people are going to say no, they're going to reject you, they're going to look at you weird, they're going to, they might even insult you, right? And for me, that feels risky and just makes me feel alive, and it's fun to me, and at the same time, I'm building my social skills and my confidence, and building a callus, to not care about what people think, That's just one example, I also, if you're into some sort of extreme sport like parkour or skateboarding, lifting weights, sometimes I'll go for a back squat that's 20 pounds over my max, and I'll just try it. I'll just see if I can make it down, and then I can dump the weight, if it's too much. But that feeling of risk, and that feeling of being alive, when you're in a very risky scenario or something that just gets your blood pumping, talking to some random girl on the street, right? That's the closest feeling to being alive that there is, right? And so that's very good. That's very healthy. It's very natural. It's organic, and it's not looking at your phone screen or computer screen or playing video games. You're in the real world, and you're bettering yourself, and that's what it's all about. That's what my videos are all about, and that's what my message to people is all about. So follow all these tips, and if you do all the tips in this video, I'd be really, really surprised if you still had seasonal depression. But that being said, a lot of the things in this video are really difficult to do, and will take a lot of discipline, and they're not easy. But like I said, if you relapse or you fail, don't let that discourage you. Just continue on the track you were at. There's nothing wrong with a man who keeps falling down as long as he keeps on getting back up. Or woman, So I really believe that, and I hope this video helps you. It's from my heart, and it really, really helped me. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and thanks for watching.